I had barely taken a sip of my morning coffee when I heard it call 911. He's trespassing on community property. The words tore through the stillness like a foghorn, and I flinched, spilling hot coffee across my shorts. I darted to the window in a panic, my heart pounding like someone had just kicked down my front door. Was someone being attacked? Was there a fire? Nope. Outside, red-faced and seething, stood my neighbor Loretta Winslow. She looked like she was about to rupture a vocal cord, waving her iPhone in the air like it was a dagger. Her other hand trembled violently as she pointed at my Jeep. My black, perfectly parked, perfectly clean Jeep that was sitting right there in my own driveway. Loretta's face was the color of boiled lobster. Her mouth was foaming with righteous indignation as if I'd driven a tank into a monastery. Still in my damp pajama shorts and a faded Star Wars tee, I stepped outside with a mixture of curiosity and dread. "That vehicle," she barked, stabbing her finger toward it like she was directing an airstrike, "is in violation of our homeowners association's bylaws. This is community property and you're disrupting visual harmony." I stared at her like she'd just grown antlers. "Loretta," I said slowly, "this is my driveway. I bought this house 2 years ago. It's mine. The Jeep is mine. Everything here is mine." But she was already barking into her phone, circling like a caffeinated mall cop. "Yes, 911? There's a hostile male, yes. He's parked an enormous black vehicle, yes. It's threatening our aesthetic balance, yes. He looks confrontational." The police arrived shockingly fast, probably thinking this was a real emergency. When they got out and saw Loretta jabbing at my Jeep and me sipping coffee from a mug that read "World's Laziest Neighbor," I could almost see the disbelief spread across their faces like a virus. Loretta sprinted to them like a linebacker with loose paperwork flapping in hand-crumpled photocopies of ancient HOA documents she probably printed in 1999. She went on about visual pollution, militaristic aesthetics, and the emotional dissonance of black vehicles. One of the officers, a younger guy with the deadpan patience of someone who'd seen it all, asked, "Ma'am, is there an active HOA in this neighborhood?" Loretta stiffened. "Well, no," she said. "Not currently. But I'm enforcing the old rules until the board is reestablished." "So, there's no active HOA?" "Not technically." "Then this man is allowed to park in his own driveway." Loretta looked like she'd just been slapped with a frying pan. "This is a disgrace," she hissed. "A disgrace to suburban order. I will escalate this to the county." The cops gave me a tired look and left. I thought that would be the end. It wasn't. That night, I came home to find a typed letter taped to my windshield decorated with clip art of gavels and warning triangles. It claimed I owed $75 for violating visual consistency standards. The letter was signed, "Loretta Winslow, acting HOA president, temporarily reinstated in spiritual capacity." I nearly choked laughing. Spiritual capacity? Was she founding a church? But the next few days it stopped being funny. Loretta started documenting my Jeep like it was evidence in a murder trial: angles, lighting, timestamps. She flagged my Amazon driver for easement violations. She demanded my friend Ray provide registration when he parked in front of my house. Ray, ever the deadpan comic, looked her square in the face and said, "Would you like a DNA sample too?" That night I'd had enough. I logged into the county records and dug deep into property lines and HOA filings. Turns out the HOA had been officially dissolved 3.5 years ago following a lawsuit involving a falling tree and a neighbor's trampoline. No board. No elections. No rules. Loretta was operating on pure delusion. But then I discovered something beautiful. Her backyard shed the hideous yellow one painted like a demented chicken coop actually extended 4 feet into my property line. It was technically trespassing. Hypocrisy with a cherry on top. I saved the records under a folder labeled Operation Cluckback. The next morning, I watched Loretta stick another fake fine on my windshield. I didn't react. I just smiled and waved, because now I had something better than a comeback. I had receipts. For the next few days, I treated my front yard like a surveillance post. Every morning at 8 a.m., Loretta strutted outside with her clipboard and Yorkie in a stroller, her sunglasses oversized and ridiculous. She marked infractions like uneven curtains, off-brand mulch, and leftover Christmas lights. Some neighbors actually thought she was still on the HOA board and even paid her $50 dues. She had created a fake HOA complete with a laminated bulletin board she called the Community Compliance Center. It was no longer funny. It was a cult. I attended one of her HOA meetings, which was just her under a tent next to her mailbox. She rang a bell and pointed to a scarecrow in a blazer labeled Vice President Harold. When I laughed, she accused me of disrupting civic harmony and wrote my name down. I recorded the whole thing and posted it anonymously in the neighborhood Facebook group. The comments exploded. Is this performance art? Is Harold unionized? I paid her $100 last year. Can I get that back? The next day, her tent and Harold were gone, but she wasn't. Loretta rebranded herself. She emerged the following morning in a reflective vest labeled Visual Order Enforcer with a sash that read Beautification Task Lead. Her Yorkie now wore a sheriff badge and barked at mailboxes. She launched a campaign called the Neighborhood Restoration Initiative, complete with cones, pamphlets, and a banner between two mini flagpoles. I received a yard citation for excessive flamingo usage. I had 5. That day, I bought 32 more, including 2 inflatable ones with motion sensors. Then she claimed my Jeep's windshield caused weaponized glare fields. That's when I knew this woman wasn't stopping. So, I hosted the first annual Community Truth Night in my backyard. I made brisket, passed out sweet tea, and projected a slideshow onto my fence. The photos of the survey showing her shed on my property got gasps. The recording of her calling the scarecrow Vice President Harold made someone nearly choke on cornbread. Then came the footage of her admitting to faking HOA documents. It went from comedy to outrage. Neighbors fought back. Mrs. Velez planted more flamingos. Mr. Donnelly hung a banner that said, "My lawn, my rules." Loretta retaliated with cardboard signs on her fence, "Structure saves society," and "Disorder starts with your can." She called my trash can a waste barrier. Then one morning, she dragged her own bin into the middle of the street and declared a blockade. When the police showed up again, it was the same officer from before. He took one look at the chaos and handed her a citation for obstructing a public road. That's when the memes started. Someone posted a ring cam still of her mid-scream, "Bin Laden strikes again." Loretta's final act? She tried to organize a Save the Shed protest. Only 3 attendees, her Yorkie, and a confused man looking for a garage sale. Eventually, I sent her a formal cease and desist letter through a real attorney about the shed's encroachment. It was full of property codes and legal lingo. I attached a photo of the shed with a measuring tape stretching into my yard. She taped off the shed with yellow caution tape and stood beside it for hours a day like it was sacred. Then came the for sale sign. Loretta was moving. No one believed it at first. But when the open house rolled around, I polished the Jeep until it sparkled and set up all 50 flamingos in formation facing her front door. When buyers asked what she was like, I just smiled. Others jumped in. She once fined me for wind chimes. She said my son's bike disrupted sidewalk symmetry. The open house was a disaster. Days later, a real estate agent confirmed Loretta had tried to include neighborhood conduct rules in the contract. The agent refused. Eventually, the price dropped. One morning, I woke to the rumble of a moving truck. Loretta stomped around, furious, barking orders at the movers. As they hauled her beloved shed onto a flatbed, someone knocked over her old "Keep OFF My Property" sign. She screamed at the poor guy like he'd desecrated a monument. And then came the final act. From my garage, I launched a drone carrying a banner, "Driveway wins. HOA Karen loses." The neighborhood roared with laughter. Even the mailman applauded. Loretta ducked into the passenger seat of the moving truck and slammed the door. She refused to come out. As the truck idled at the corner, her window rolled down. She popped out like a jack in the box and shouted, "This entire neighborhood is toxic. You'll all see." Then she was gone. The neighborhood, now freed from the shadow of her reign, breathed again. Trash bins lingered longer. Hydrangeas bloomed in rebellion. Gnomes sprouted like mushrooms. I hosted brunch in my driveway just out of spite, and neighbors shared their favorite Loretta stories. Laughter echoed from porches. A week later, I received a letter from the county. Loretta had paid a fine and formally acknowledged her shed's encroachment. It was over. No more fake notices. No more flamingo fines. Just peace and the occasional giggle whenever someone walked past my sign that still read "Private Driveway." Not for Loretta's guests. As for Loretta? Maybe she found another neighborhood to terrorize. Maybe she joined a real HOA and finally got to live her citation-filled dreams. Or maybe she's just out there yelling at trash cans in the wind. But one thing's for sure. The driveway still stands. Unbothered, unmoved, and 100% Loretta-free.